By 1880, the average cowboy working the Chisholm Trail had lost at least 6 teeth by age 30. Not from bar fights, not from gunfights, from what he ate every single day. Hollywood gave us men who looked like they stepped out of a barber's chair. Clean shirts, strong jaws, perfect smiles around the campfire. The reality: open your mouth on a cattle drive in 1875, and you'd see rotted stumps, abscesses that never healed, and gaps where molars used to be. This wasn't poor hygiene. This was survival food doing exactly what it was designed to do: keep you alive long enough to finish the job. Whether your body held together after that was never part of the plan. Tonight, we're opening the real chuck wagon. And what you're about to hear isn't just unpleasant. It's documented in medical records, cowboy diaries, and dental studies that didn't exist until researchers started asking one simple question: why did so many men under 40 have the teeth of someone twice their age? The answer is in the coffee, the biscuits, and the salt pork they chewed until their gums bled. This is the diet that built the West and destroyed the men who ate it. Let's establish what a cattle drive actually required. You're moving 2,000 head of longhorns from South Texas to Kansas. 600 miles, 60 days if the weather holds, 12 to 15 men, 1 chuck wagon. That wagon carries everything you'll eat for 2 months. No resupply, no towns, no refrigeration. The chuck wagon. Cook, usually called cookie, had 3 priorities in order: calories, shelf life, and speed. Taste didn't make the list. Neither did nutrition. Here's what went into that wagon, based on supply manifests from the King Ranch and XIT Ranch records: 50-pound sacks of flour, slabs of salt pork packed in brine, bags of dried beans, 20 pounds of Arbuckle's coffee beans, lard, cornmeal, molasses, sourdough starter kept alive in a crock. That's it. No vegetables except wild onions if you found them. No fruit except canned peaches on special occasions. No dairy once the first week passed. The cook made the same rotation every single day: coffee at dawn, hardtack or biscuits mid-morning, beans and salt pork at night. Repeat for 60 days straight. Hollywood showed you bacon sizzling over a fire. They didn't show you what that bacon actually was: salt pork so preserved it could last 4 months unrefrigerated, but only if it had enough sodium to cure leather. Cowboys ate it anyway. They had to. A man burning 4,000 calories a day in the saddle couldn't survive on air and scenery. But here's what the studios never mentioned: survival and health are not the same thing. You can live on this food. Men did. But your teeth, your gums, your gut, they paid a price that didn't show up until you were 35 and couldn't chew without pain. Dentists in Dodge City and Abilene kept records. By the 1880s, they noted a pattern. Men coming off the trail had mouths that looked like they'd been chewing gravel. They had been. Just not the kind you'd expect. Let's talk about the coffee first, because that's where the damage started every single morning. Arbuckle's Ariosa coffee was the standard. Pre-roasted, coated in egg whites and sugar to preserve it. Came in 1-pound bags with a peppermint stick inside as an incentive for the man who volunteered to grind it. The cook would take those beans, crush them with a rock or the back of an axe, and boil them in a pot with water. Straight from the creek. No filter, no measurements. Just grounds and water boiled until it was strong enough to, as the cowboys said, float a horseshoe. You drank it black, you drank it hot, and you drank the grounds with it, because nobody was wasting time with cheesecloth. Here's what that did. The grounds acted like sandpaper on your enamel, every single cup, twice a day, for months. Add the acidity, add the heat, add the lack of calcium in the diet, and you had teeth that started wearing down before a man turned 25. Then came the hardtack. Hardtack was a flour and water biscuit baked until it had the density of a brick. It could last years if kept dry. Civil War veterans knew it well. They called it tooth dullers and sheet iron crackers. Cowboys ate it because it didn't spoil, and it filled your stomach. But you couldn't bite into it. You had to soak it in coffee or crack it with a rock first. If you tried to chew it dry, you risked breaking a tooth outright. Even soaked, it was an abrasive. Coarse flour, no leavening, dense enough to require serious jaw pressure. Do that twice a day for 60 days and your molars started to crack. Hairline fractures you couldn't see. By the time you felt pain, the damage was done. And pain didn't mean rest. It meant you kept chewing, because there was nothing softer to eat. Now we come to the part you weren't told in school. It wasn't just the texture of the food, it was what the food was missing. Scurvy gets mentioned in pirate stories, rarely in cowboy stories, but read the medical reports from frontier doctors, and you'll find it everywhere. Scurvy is what happens when you don't get vitamin C for 8 to 12 weeks. Your gums swell, they bleed, your teeth loosen in their sockets, old wounds reopen. Cowboys weren't at sea, but they might as well have been. No citrus, no fresh vegetables, no greens unless they stopped near a settlement. Dr. William A. Hammond, Surgeon General during the Civil War, documented cases of scurvy in soldiers eating the same kind of preserved rations cowboys would later live on. His conclusion, published in 1863, a diet devoid of fresh provisions will produce breakdown of soft tissues within 90 days, beginning with the gums. Cowboys on a cattle drive went 60 to 90 days on nothing but salt pork, beans, and flour. The result? Bleeding gums became so common it wasn't even discussed. You just spit blood into the fire and kept eating. Loose teeth, you wiggled them until they fell out, or you pulled them yourself with pliers from the wagon. There were no dentists on the trail, and even if there had been, what could they do? The damage was systemic. The body was breaking down from the inside. Then there's the salt. Salt pork wasn't flavored with salt. It was preserved in it. A single piece could contain enough sodium to spike your blood pressure and dehydrate you for hours. Men drank water constantly, but that water came from rivers shared with cattle, horses, and everything upstream. Bacteria, parasites, minerals that made the water taste like iron. It kept you alive. It didn't keep you healthy. And here's the detail history skipped. Even after the drive ended, the damage didn't stop. A man who spent his 20s on the trail would hit his 30s with a mouth full of problems that couldn't be fixed. Chronic infections, bone loss, abscesses that flared up every time his immune system weakened. Dentistry in the 1880s meant extraction. That's it. No fillings, no root canals. Just pull the tooth and hope the infection didn't spread. By 40, many former cowboys were eating mush, not by choice, because chewing solid food had become impossible. So what happened to these men after the trail? Some stayed in the cattle business and kept eating the same way. Their teeth continued to deteriorate. By middle age, they'd lost most of their molars. Others settled down, married, started eating real food again. Vegetables, milk, meat that wasn't cured in brine. But the damage was already done. Enamel doesn't grow back. Bone loss in the jaw doesn't reverse. Gums that receded from scurvy stayed receded. Photographs from the late 1800s show something Hollywood never did. Older cowboys with sunken faces, not from age, from missing teeth and bone structure that had collapsed. There's a picture in the National Cowboy Museum archives, taken in 1895, of a trail crew reunion in Fort Worth. 8 men, all in their 50s. 6 of them have visible gaps in their smiles. 2 aren't smiling at all. Not because they were tough or stoic, because smiling meant showing a mouth they'd learned to keep closed. Psychologically, this mattered. A man who couldn't chew properly couldn't eat in public without embarrassment, couldn't speak clearly if he'd lost his front teeth, couldn't get certain jobs that required a presentable appearance. The West was built by men who sacrificed their bodies for $13 a month and food that kept them alive just long enough to finish the job. They weren't legends. They were laborers, and the price they paid showed up every time they tried to eat an apple. The next time you see a Western where the cowboy bites into jerky with perfect teeth, remember this. That man, in reality, would have been 30 years old with the mouth of someone twice his age. He would have known the taste of blood every morning when he drank his coffee. He would have learned to chew on one side because the other side hurt too much. And he would have done it all for 60 days straight, knowing full well the damage was permanent. Hollywood gave us myths. History gives us men who lived hard, aged fast, and paid for survival with parts of themselves that never healed. Cowboy coffee and hardtack didn't just ruin their teeth, it marked them for life, and nobody told you that part.